I'm Dan, and this is 10,000 Hours of Indie, a podcast exploring new music and delving deeper into what goes on in the background of the independent music industry. I'm a musician and passionate music lover, and I wanted to delve deeper into new music in the independent scene around the world. I also saw this as a chance to help artists connect and share their stories, so if there's someone you hear and you want to find out more about, every podcast has links in the show description. Get involved, help this community grow, follow on the 10,000 Hours of Indie socials, you can find all the links in the show description. And also feel free to email me about anything music related, 10,000indie@gmail.com. I'm open to any ideas and love listening to your promos. Dutch indie label Tiny Room Records was founded by Stefan, whose surname I can never pronounce, in 2014. Founded on the theory that music should be fun, Stefan has overseen 75 releases, the latest of which is our focus today, organised one-off showcase events and several tours, run pop-up market stalls to promote and sell artist merchandise, and all while being in 2 bands and releasing solo material. I'm exhausted just thinking about it. Oh, and in the middle of all that, Stefan had quite severe COVID on more than one occasion. Stefan has appeared on the podcast before when I was running the Being Independent series. Scroll back through to find it. But today we're focusing on the 10-year label anniversary release, Foundlings Volume 1 and 2, released on the 5th of September, a 27-track compilation of special, previously unreleased indie gems from artists he's worked with during the label's existence. I think that's the longest intro I've done so far. Hi, Stefan. Welcome to the pod again.
Yeah, thanks for having me again. And that was indeed quite complete. I'm not sure what I can add to that. Thank you for the introduction.
Well, that's good. Maybe we should just skip the interview then. I'll try not to cover too much that we've covered before, but there may be a few crossovers for context, obviously. First up, I know the answer to this, but can you tell us where the Tiny Room Records moniker came from?
In 2014, I started the label because I wanted to do all these things that I'd been doing for quite a while, like booking and releasing and producing music under one new moniker. So collect every activity under one name. And it took me quite a while to come up with a good name, but I ended up with Tiny Room because it stands for the way I've been doing things from my own attic, my tiny room in my attic in Beeldhoven, the Netherlands. But it's also one of my favorite songs ever by a French indie band called Kalk, who were active between, 98 and 2006 or 7, something like that. And on their second album, Great Fun, from 2000, there's this song, Tiny Room, and it's only a live version of the song. It's played by the band with an orchestra, and it's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful recording, and I've always loved it. So I thought, yeah, this is a good name for my label.
They haven't sued you yet?
Definitely not. No, because I think around 2005 or 6, I became friends with the singer, Julien Prat, who also released music on Tiny Room as a part of Queen of the Meadow with his solo project, Victory Hall. So he's very honored to have his song name also this small Dutch indie label. And over the 15 or 20 years that I've known him, somewhere in the beginning, I found out that there was a studio recording of this song, of Tiny Room, a 4-track cassette tape demo version that didn't wind up on an album somewhere, so like the live version did. So I've been tracking that recording down for at least 15 years until my friend Julien, who is a little bit chaotic, very, very sweet and nice, but a little bit chaotic, eventually he found the tape and he digitized it and put it on the computer and send it to me. So that was at the start of working on the new compilation that we're going to talk about. I received that track. It is a very nice recording, but it was also supposed to be number 1 on the track list right away because it stands for the whole label and musically as well.
When you first started, you set out with the aim of helping niche artists get their music heard. How well do you think you've fulfilled your initial brief for the record label?
I think pretty well. The music gets attention. I still think the niche music also reaches quite a niche audience. I think there should be more people that like this kind of niche music. But the quality of the listeners and of the contacts and of the people that write about it or buy the albums or get attached to the label somehow, is much higher than I anticipated in the beginning. It has become more, a nice family with the artists and the listeners involved in a community than that I can get the music to as much people as I would like to.
You had a bit of a rethink during COVID times, and you issued a handbook, or you wrote a handbook for artists interested in releasing through the label on how and what they could do to do it themselves. Tell us a little bit about that. I know we touched on that in the previous interview, but just to fill in the gap.
Yeah, I think that also it's a nice bridge from what I just explained. The label has become more of a platform for knowledge and for contacts and for ways of doing things yourself instead of just a marketing or distribution partner. Because the marketing work is just it's very much work, and it doesn't really pay off in this kind of field. So the label itself shifted a little bit more to be a partner in building something for yourself. So right now, for instance, with music promotion, I'm sharing a manual with the artists on Tiny Room so they can assemble their own promo packages, physical CDs, and where you can print those, where you can where to send them, how to approach journalists or reviewers, etc. And then, of course, I can help whenever they can't do it, or when it's an artist from Canada and they should send 20 promo packages to Dutch addresses, it makes more sense that I do it and not them. So in the end, you end up doing it together, but that's a lot different than what I did in the beginning, where it was more, I'm doing the promo work and they are making the music.
A collaborative effort now more than... Let's talk about the new compilation album, Foundlings Volume 1 and 2. How did the initial idea for that come to you? I mean, obviously you wanted to do something to celebrate 10 years, but deeper than that, how did the concepts happen?
Like I said, the song Tiny Room was one of the first things that were sent to me in that period, about 2 years ago or something. And I knew I wanted to do something with that. I knew, of course, that the 10-year anniversary was coming up. That's when the idea of a compilation was planted. But then there was one song that was also sent to me that didn't end up on the compilation. But that was the song that made me realize I wanted to do something with unreleased, new, found recordings that couldn't be found elsewhere. Mostly pretty lo-fi stuff, and mostly for people who are curious to listen to new, experimental, unheard music. The song was a early 90s track by Christoph Hajos, who is a Hungarian-Dutch singer-songwriter on the label right now. When he sent it to me, he hadn't put out an album yet on Tiny Room, but it was an early recording of him with a friend in the early 90s on cassette, sung in Hungarian with just a Casio as the instrumental part of the song. And it was hauntingly beautiful. It is hauntingly beautiful. Of course, I still have the song. Eventually, we didn't get the clearance from the other person, who was the singer. So I couldn't put it on the album, but it was definitely the song that got it rolling. I was like, okay, how can something so magical, so dear to me, not be heard by anyone else? And that's more or less the concept I've used for all the records I put out. When it touches me and it touches my heart, I'm sure there will be someone else who also wants to hear it.
It's a huge undertaking. You said you got a couple of demos through, and that was sort of how the project started. How do you go about putting 27 tracks together? You must have listened to hundreds, if not thousands, of tracks to work out which tracks should go on this.
No, because then you would assume that everybody would send a lot of tracks to choose from. And that's not really what happened. A couple of them I found on old hard drives in my email inbox, old friends that send it to me, or like the Kalk song Tiny Room, or there's also this other French band Pool with Suckers that has been on one of my hard drives for quite a few years. Perry Owen Wright is another one. He used to be in an early 2000 band called The Prayers and Tears of Arthur Digby Sellers. Very good band name. Very good band. They put out 1 or 2 full-length albums, and then he went quiet for 20 years. But I kept in contact a little bit on him on email, and 8 or 9 years ago, he sent me this song, which I always kept like there will be an opportunity one day to get it released. And this was the opportunity. So there were a few songs. The Daniel Brommel song, the last one, is also one of those which I had on an actual CDR. Daniel is a musician from Los Angeles who used to play in a band called Ozma, sort of Weezer kind of nerd rock power pop band. I liked it very much, especially when I was 18, 19. And then he ended up being a touring member of Weezer, of Nada Surf, so quite big bands that I really like. And he also played for a few years in a slowcore band, Spain, by the son of Charlie Hayden. Josh Hayden sings in it. A very, very good slowcore band, very big inspiration for me as well as a songwriter. And when I went to see them in 2012 or 13, I talked a little bit with Daniel, the guitar player, and he said, "Yeah, I have this new band coming up, and here I have some demos in the car on the CDR. You should have it. I can burn it myself again when I'm back home." So he gave me the CD, and there was one song on it that was so good. I kept it on repeat. I listened to it all the time, and then he started that new band, Sanglorians, and it didn't end up on that record, and also not on newer stuff that he put out. So eventually, when I was working on this project, I was like, ooh, it would be very cool to have that one song on the compilation that I love so much, and I think it should get heard. And then there were a few artists that sent me a song because I asked for music to put on the compilation. And some of those were recorded especially for this project. And some of them the artists found in their own vaults, in their own hard drives. Most of them just knew immediately, oh yeah, of course, I have this one song. It never fit on any album, but it's really good. It's very dear to me. Like the song by Tiny Wine, by Jake Nickel, Coaster, Garcia Phone. They were all very quickly to choose one of the songs. And then a few, they sent me quite a list of options. In particular, I Am Oak, a band I used to play bass in, which was the latest addition to the compilation. We talked about it, me and my friend Thijs, who also always helps with the artwork. But then, yeah, we both kind of forgot about it. And then the album was mastered, and I was like, yeah, there's on side C, there is 2 minutes left. Why didn't we pursue this idea of you submitting a track? And he was like, oh yeah, we can still do that. And he sent me 7 I Am Oak tracks that were unreleased, and they were all very good. So that was really hard to choose from, with the time being the deadline coming up. But I really like this song, and it also fit right in the sequencing when you're making a double album, 2 volumes. If you just put them in a random order, it didn't work. I couldn't listen to it for a long time, or I couldn't finish listening the whole album. So I spent quite a lot of time on the sequencing to have every song stand out in a way. It was very special to receive the Bonnie Prince Billy submission, which I should also mention because it's the biggest name on there. It came at the right time. I was not in a very good headspace around that time. He sent this song, which was a phone recording, like a dictaphone of a demo, just a guitar and vocals. It was only 1.4 MB, so it was a very small file, which we had to master a little bit to get it right for vinyl.
So why volumes 1 and 2?
Because it's 2 records physical vinyl record. And I liked the idea of having a sleeve that you can turn and then have another cover on the other side. It's a gatefold sleeve with 2 front covers. When you open it, there's the track listing with explanations on how the songs ended up on the compilation.
Were you thinking Weezer with the red album and the blue album?
No. It makes sense, of course, making a volume 3, which I have started. I don't think it's going to be another double album, but there were quite some artists also on the label that didn't end up on volume 1 and 2. It makes sense to continue this project. First of all, because I really like collecting these and searching for these lost recordings and find them, make them found recordings.
So obviously I follow Tiny Room closely on Instagram. And having seen the pictures of you running a stall to sell label merchandise a weekend or 2 ago, I wondered what inspired that idea.
I've been selling my merchandise on label markets for quite a few years now. In Amsterdam, there's a yearly independent label market where all Dutch independent labels come together. They sell their merchandise, but also stuff that was maybe out of print or hard to find. And this year, for the first time in 13 years, it wasn't organized in Amsterdam. So me and Subroutine Records, another label who does more indie rock or noise rock stuff, we decided to host and organize one ourselves here in Utrecht. And it was super nice. The weather was nice. There was people coming. Of course, it's not like a record fair where there's hundreds of people coming to buy this particular pressing of the Beatles of Help with the Shell logo on it or something like that. It's actually a strange market because you're selling stuff that most people don't know about and haven't heard of. With that in mind, it was still a success. And yeah, we hope to do it again next year.
That's a wonderful concept. I wish we had something like that over here. So what's upcoming for you and the label for the rest of the year and into 2026? You must already have another 2 or 3 releases lined up.
For the rest of the year, I'm focusing on shows, on events. I also want to celebrate the fact that, well, by now it's already 11 years, but you know how it goes. Yeah, that the label has existed, that I have the compilation out. And yeah, this Sunday, there's this small event in Houten in a record store where I do shows occasionally. I'm doing some World of Dust shows with Toby Goodshank and his girlfriend, Leslie Graves, in Germany and the Netherlands later in October. And we have semi-monthly Studio Patrick events in our own rehearsal space where we have experimental independent stuff from all over the world coming to play. Doesn't matter what genre. We have doom metal, ambient, country. It really doesn't matter. And last week we had a Japanese, easy listening, weird songwriter, Simon from Osaka, in our studio. And after that, a Scottish noise acoustic bass punk player called Howie Reeve. Yeah, and we also did a show with a one-off project, our own, a 6-minute punk show. So yeah, that it keeps us busy. This kind of stuff, and it's nice that it's a little bit slow now on the release end, so that I and we as a community can focus a little bit on the live aspect, on the getting together and celebrating live music, which is nice as well. Sometimes it's a bit much when both are firing on all cylinders. There's one digital release coming up in a month by Caspar Milk Toast, who also the second track on the Foundlings compilation. There's a new digital EP. And I haven't done digital only releases in a very long time. I think I've only done it once. But for this, we wanted to put it out into the world, but she didn't have any money or any opportunity to make a physical format. So yeah, we're just going to try out and see if it makes us happy.
Well, that would be nice because that's one of the other tracks I really liked on the album.
Yeah.
So the final question, if you've been listening to the podcast to get some notes of what I do, this is the one where I ask you, what are you listening to at the moment that people may not be aware of and should take some time to check out?
I still buy a lot of music. I really like the last Water From Your Eyes album. It's a beautiful place. That's a very, very good album. Very weird. There's been so much music this year. I like the last Modern Nature album, The Heat Warps. They're from England. Very slow, delicate indie pop music. I got into Will Johnson, who used to play in Centromatic and South San Gabriel back in the day. He's got a very good solo album out earlier this year. Yeah, and then there's also a band who played from Subroutine, who played on the Label Market 2 weeks ago, A Fungus, an Amsterdam-based band. They combine beautiful indie rock with math things and sometimes electronic influences. It's super, super good. And then they only play 2 shows or something, and they don't do anything more with it. But it doesn't matter because I have the album at home, and
you're one of the people who's seen them live, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So for anyone wishing to find out more, the Tiny Room Records website is tinyroom.nl. You're on Bandcamp, which is where everything's for sale. That's still available. Yep. You have Instagram and Facebook. Is there any more I'm missing?
No, that's it.
Perfect. Well, Foundlings Volume 1 and 2, the 27-track compilation from Tiny Room Records, is available now physically through Bandcamp and on all streaming platforms. Stefan, it was a pleasure to have you here again. Thank you for filling us in on the background of the album.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And I hope everyone with curious ears will find the Foundlings compilation.
Well, I think the good thing about the compilation is everybody should find something on there because it is such a varied mix of genres and styles.
Yeah, you hear it, people. Go get it.
Thank you, Stefan.
Thank you too, Daniel.